Go ahead and turn us on, Dave. Good morning, everyone. Welcome everybody to our regular board meeting, Tuesday, October 6th, 2020, 10 o'clock. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And then Mr. Minlev will do the invocation. And Steve, you want to lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful that we can come before Thee with bowed heads. We are humble unto Thee for the many blessings that Thou hast bestowed upon us. We're grateful for this great land that we live in, the freedoms that afford us, the Constitution of the United States that affords us the ability to be a free people. We pray that the Constitution may be always, we may always support it and adhere to its principles. It affords us freedoms, and we seek for those to be sustained. Our Father in heaven, we are thankful for the good people of Gila County. We pray in their behalf. There are some that have great needs, and may we, through our collective hearts, be able to strengthen and support those that are in need, whether their needs be physical, food, shelter, or emotional, socially, or any other thing that may stand in need. We pray that we may be aware and watch out for each other and strengthen each other as we have need at this time. Heavenly Father, we pray for moisture at the lands. We've had tremendous fires in Gila County this year. We pray that we might be able to have moisture in moderation that will come to Gila County such that it'll heal the land and restore it, but not so much that devastating floods and things can occur. Heavenly Father, we pray for the upcoming election, that people may look to those that are seeking to, on a national, state, or local level, those that are seeking to help those that are in need, that we can look to people that have an ability to make change, to make things happen, to be positive in their efforts and seek for the collective good. We ask these blessings in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, James. Okay, so we'll move on to presentations. 2A, presentation and final report for the 2020 Summer Work Employment Program. Kathy Melvin.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not getting the YouTube feed.
Okay.
It says 11 of us are watching, but mine
Is yours up then, Jackie? Jackie's got hers up, and I don't see anything coming back from Dave on it, so.
all righty, I'll start all over again while you guys visit.
Yeah, Tommy, if you just close it down and reopen it again, maybe that'll do it, okay?
I'm going to try it. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Kathy.
Chairman Klein, Supervisor Martin, Supervisor Humphrey. This is our final report for the Summer Work Program 2020, the summer that almost wasn't. We probably all know why it almost wasn't. We had quite a few starts and stops before we finally decided, probably about the middle of May, to go ahead and have the program due to the virus. So that was kind of our hang-up. Let's see. The program dates this year, June 8th to July 17th. This year we went up another $1 because minimum wage rose to $12. So we paid them $12 an hour, 40 hours a week for 6 weeks. This year we had quite a few more applicants even than last year, probably about somewhere between 10 and 20 more. We had 76 applications. The bad thing about that is it's nice to get the response, but we only had 33 positions available. So that made it even tougher when we had to get down to the decision of who to hire. We did have a better response in Payson, which is a good thing because we've really been struggling to get kids to apply up there. Due to the line item in the general fund, we were able to fund the 33 positions. Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Humphrey, Supervisor Klein, did fund some extra positions from their constituent monies. In Miami, we were able to add another 2, and in Hayden and Winkleman, 2 for Hayden and 2 for Winkleman. And they had actually asked if there's any way that they could have additional kids that they would like to over there. And we have a really big response in that area. I think we interviewed 18 kids over there. So that's a big response for those 2 small communities. So the need was definitely there. All of the interviews were held the end of May. We always interview every single kid unless there's some reason, not to, if they're, say, 14 years old or something. We always interview all of the kids and give them at least that experience. We held the interviews, we go to them. We held them in Globe, Payson, and the Hayden-Winkleman area. We had a request from Payson to have staff sit in on their interviews. And Eric and I weren't too sure how that was going to work, but it actually worked out really well. They had 3 or 4 department heads that came that had requested kids that kind of wanted to meet them, see their personalities, how they might work, what they particularly needed in their department. So that really did help. They didn't ask questions, they just observed. Then afterwards, we went through the list of kids we interviewed, and right then and there, they made the determination of who they wanted to come to their departments. So that worked out really well. And then we had Miami do the same thing. So in these small towns, you usually know your kids, and so that really did help them out in getting them. We did do a few interviews by phone with kids that weren't able to make it for one reason or another, maybe off on a trip or something. So we always accommodate them that way. Here's the participating departments and the municipalities. On the left are all the county departments that had them: Health Department, Community Development, Facilities, Sheriff's Office, Elections, Public Fiduciary, County Attorney, Board of Supervisors, and Information Technology. We had all of our communities participate except for the community of Star Valley, and we typically have Young School in there, but they opted out this year because they had some organizational issues going on, so they decided they wouldn't be able to do that this year. The total investment made by Gila County General Fund and the Board of Supervisors and the communities, because I forgot to mention, the City of Globe does a match. We pay for 2 workers for the City of Globe, and the City of Globe pays for 2, but we still do the interviewing and everything. So the total investment, $131,328. Some of the comments from the departments that got the kids: Community Development, when I came in to deliver his T-shirt and talk to him at the end of the program, they said he's the best part-time worker they ever had. And he's a young man that's going into the Marine Corps in January to become a gunsmith. That's going to be his MOS. The Elections Department, Eric said that workers got a lot of projects completed and it was hard to keep up with them. And of course, this year, Eric had a lot of projects being an election year. City of Globe, young worker we put there, worked in the library, and she painted a beautiful mural for the Globe Library. The worker we had with the Board of Supervisors was really good. She was dependable, and she helped me organize some files and went through a whole checklist for me and categorized the files and got them all organized. There were a couple I didn't mention on here, but in the Health Department, not in the Health Department, Community Services under Melissa Buzan's department, had a young worker there that was bilingual, and he ended up helping the Health Department with some of their contact tracing efforts, because he had some folks they had to talk to that didn't speak English, and he was able to help them out with that. So that was good. In Winkleman, we had a young worker that wasn't 16 by the time of the start of the program. So we did interview him. I called, let's start back with, we interviewed him because we decided he would start a couple weeks late, and that when he turned 16, the 3rd week of June, we would go ahead and start him. So we interviewed him when Sherry and I went over there, and he sat through the interview, and he was adamant that he wanted a job, and if we didn't hire him, he was going to show up and volunteer on the crew. He wouldn't get paid till the 3rd week. That was okay because he was a hard worker, so he wanted to be hired, and the Winkleman staff really wanted him to get hired too. So I called the insurance pool, and I talked to Bill Hardy, and he called me right back, and he said, now, Winkleman actually pays his salary, and you reimburse Winkleman. So he's Winkleman's employee? I said, yes. He said, go ahead, and I don't have a problem with you hiring him. Go ahead and let him go. And his last question was, who raises kids like this? So I said, well, the folks in Hayden-Winkelman do a good job because their kids are always really hard workers. So some of the effects and changes we had to make regarding COVID-19, we decided, since each of the government entities really are their employer through the summer and we reimburse them, it was okay for them to give the orientation. So we worked that out, and that worked out really well. We didn't have to have them all in the same room. That was going to be hard to do social distancing and make sure they were safe. But Gila County provided the orientation for our workers. We weren't able this year, decided not to provide the soft skills training we usually do on the first day of work, simply because we wanted to be safer. We didn't hold our annual workshop. We had it planned, but kind of decided a week or 10 days before maybe that wasn't the right route to go. But I will say that all of the supervisors in the communities and in our departments did a really good job of keeping the kids safe, teaching them how to use the mask, social distance, and all of that. And we didn't have any issues whatsoever with the kids as far as that goes. This year, for the first time, we decided to give T-shirts away, and we got a T-shirt for each one of the workers, and that was a big hit. The kids all really enjoyed getting the T-shirts, so we went around and gave those out the last week of the program. We also partnered with the Tonto National Forest on a grant application that we kind of like lumped in with our program. The county pledged or gave a $10,000 match for a grant to the Forest Service, and we had a crew of 4 workers and 2 crew leaders that worked on projects up on the Tonto National Forest, and I included a copy of that final report for you from the Tonto. There are projects that they worked on were wildlife surveys, wilderness, cultural site maintenance, hydrology, and the reviews from everyone that went out and looked at it, all the projects they completed, that were very positive. They are working on, or they already have submitted a new application. They're asking for 2 crews in this application, and again, the county is going to partner, but they want 2 crews next year, 1 in Payson and 1 in the southern part of the county, down here in Globe. And this is a picture of their graduation ceremony up in Payson, up at Rumsey Park. And we held it out in one of the ramadas, and it worked out really well. The kids, they kept saying again and again how wonderful the kids were and what a good crew they were. We also work with the Arizona Conservation Legacy, is that the right name? And they're the ones who actually went out and got the supervisors for the kids. They did all the advertising for it, all the recruitment, to get the kids all involved. We didn't have to do anything like that, but it was just a really good program. So back in March, well, actually it was like early January, we received an email from NACO, and they do this every year where they have awards that you can apply for if you have any program that's a little bit different than normal. So we decided to apply for it. Staff applied, put in an application, because the summer work program isn't different at all. I mean, lots of communities have them, lots of programs put on summer work programs. But the fact that the county pays for kids to work in communities is different, because typically you would keep those kids in-house. You'd work them in your county departments, not placed in communities. So that's what makes this program different. So we did receive an award. Unfortunately, well, the category I put in was community and economic development. And one of the other reasons I decided to apply was in that particular category, there were 43 recipients last year, and they were all Maricopa County except for 2. So I thought, we can do this. We can apply and see if we win. So we did. Unfortunately, the annual conference in Florida was canceled, and we would have been able to go to that, and in the luncheon, the awards luncheon, could have stood up and been presented with our award. So we didn't get to do that. So staff decided to have an award made for the Board of Supervisors. So we took the certificate, had it blown up a little bit, and had your pictures on it. So each one of you get one of these for your office. So you received your award this year.
Thank you.
And the other thing we're going to do, I talked to the Supervisor Klein about this. The communities were really good about taking kids, even though, it was a year that was going to make it a little bit more difficult, but not one of them flinched at taking the kids. In fact, we were getting phone calls saying, are you going to do it? Please do the program this year. We really need the help. Because communities like Miami, Hayden, Winkelman, who use DOC workers weren't going to get them this year because of the virus. So we're going to go around and give each one of them a thank you for sticking with us this year in 2020. Do you have any questions?
Good job, Kathy. Tommy, you have any questions or comments?
Some of the comments from.
Oh, hang on a minute, Woody, turn that off now.
Community development when I.
Slide it down. Sorry about that. It's just a game showing here today. I think it turned out so well. I'm so happy for Kathy to have taken a lot of the weight on this one, and you, and made it the success that we've made it with the challenges this year in particular. But Kathy, thank you much. What do you think?
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, I think that's great, working with a Forest Service, and if we can get Forest Service here and up north and stuff working with us for kids through a federal grant, because, you know, I think it's great that we've come this far with it. And I guess my only question is, how do we get more than 33 kids working? Is it because the departments or some of the areas don't have the supervision for the summer crew, or is it the funding? What would be one of our biggest stipulations at this point to keep this program from being bigger, so that I could work on it throughout the year to be more prepared next year with more funding if necessary? Because, you know, we have the grant writer now, and we could maybe put in for a Freeport grant or something if finances is one of the holdback of us hiring more kids, because like you said, you had a lot more interview than we had jobs. And so if it's just funding, and we've got the funding, but we don't have the supervision of departments, like people would say, I'd love to have 3 kids, but we just don't have anybody to supervise them for that amount of time. So I guess my question is, and I don't expect you to answer it now, is what can we do to help on the off season to make this program grow? Because it's a beautiful program, and it's done an awful lot for these kids, and the kids have helped these departments a lot. So I would like to see what I could do to make it bigger and better. Thank you.
I think the last time we talked about the summer work program, we talked about putting kids in the private sector, which we can't really do with government money. So we did talk about grants. One of the other things we've talked about is Supervisor Klein is now chairman of the Apache Navajo Gila Workforce Board. So I think he's in a better position to really push the fact that we need to partner with them, because the last time we talked to them, they only had 12 kids enrolled in their program in Gila County, in the entire county. So I think we need to put a push on there to get some more kids. Of course, they have eligibility requirements, but we can still get more kids involved. I did talk to Freeport. They were going to sponsor our workshop this year, but then, of course, due to the virus, they pulled all community funding. We can get some money from them through the community investment funds, but typically they only want to do a program for 1 year, and then they want you to self-sustain. So we'll work, Amy and I will work together to see what we can identify to get it going. But it's a big responsibility for departments to take them on, because you do have to have projects. It's a lot to do to make sure they're there. You know, they're trained. You don't want them sitting around doing nothing. So it's a big responsibility.
Oh, yeah,
to
no,
do
it is. And with workforce development, maybe starting back up, perhaps maybe we could work with them some too, in trying to get some more help for these youth, to teach them skills and to get them interested in.
Right. And they have access to a lot of funds we don't, and programs. So working with them, I think we should be able to identify some of those places, get some more money.
If there's any torch I can carry, let me know.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, good job, Kathy. And you know, one thing I'd like to say too about the Forest Service side of it this year in particular, besides the virus, was the fires. So a lot of their leadership for that crew was their staff from different functions inside the department or inside the Forest Service. So I don't know, there was 2 or 3 times, I guess, where that staff member was called on assignment and left hanging, you know, at the last minute to lead those crews. And they really scrambled around to keep that covered. They were very much committed to this. And by looking at this, as far as expanding it to the south end of our county, to have both of those crews in addition to what the county will be able to do, and maybe working another route for the public or the private side of it to help some of these kids get out there too. It'd be nice to see this grow quite a bit. It'd really be nice. And you know, if there's anybody out there that has any doubts about this program, all you got to do is figure if we save one kid from going down the wrong road, this whole program just paid for itself, the whole thing. And we're still only looking at a little over $3,000 a kid to work them. So it's good. It's all really good. So thank you, Kathy. Okay, moving on to 2B, presentation regarding Gila County financial data as of 6/30/2020, as it compares to the fiscal year 2020 Gila County budget and fiscal year 2019 year-to-date performance. Maren, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, member supervisors. Kathy's a hard act to follow, so I'll keep it short and sweet and tell you that your staff did a fantastic job in our 2020 fiscal year. As you can see from the chart that we have up on the wall here, our blue line is our 2020 budget and our green line is our 2019 budget. Our red lines are the 2020 year-to-date actual, and the purple is 2019 year-to-date actual. It's a little small on the screen, but in your packet you'll see that our salaries and employee-related expenses for 2020 and 2019 both finished at 87% of actual. In the next group of bars, our 2020 actual operating expenses finished at 99% of budget compared to 91% in 2019, which means that our total expenditures, which are the third group of bars, our overall total expenditures for 2020 finished at 94% of the budget compared to 91% in 2019. Given everything that was going on in the final quarter of 2020, that is absolutely fantastic performance, and every department head and manager really should give themselves a pat on the back for how fantastic that ended. Our final group of data here is our revenues for the end of the year, and we're presenting this here in October because you get the 2 months after year end to recapture data. So we wanted to make sure that we gave you a complete presentation. So our 2020 revenues ended at 99% of budget compared to 94% from 2019. So all in all, 2020 finished nice and strong. Your staff did everything that they were supposed to do. And as you requested the last time we presented this data, we have assembled all the charts and narratives that we presented in this fashion throughout the year. And they are in the draft copy of the budget book. And we have gotten bids for printing that, and we should have budget books for you shortly after the election. Any questions?
Thank you, Maren. Tommy, you have any questions?
I do not, Mr. Chair. I'm with Mary. I think until we can pat them on the back, they need to pat themselves on the back. This is quite a feat. And Mary, you all, thank you for your side of it. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, no, thank you for tracking and keeping us on track.
Yeah, thank you, but more importantly too, although I rely on you heavily for money figures, but thanks to all the department directors, because without you guys, we can't accomplish this. There's no way. And we had a lot going on in the last year and have no reason to let up on it for the next coming years. So thank you so much for working with the budgets and what we're throwing out to you, because I know it hasn't been easy, and we'll just continue. But I really appreciate everyone in this matter. James, do you have anything you want to say about this? You're good?
Mr. Chairman, bottom line, I believe that Gila County is fiscally healthy and that we are monitoring, we're engaging departments through the finance department, bless them, and that through that we maintain a physically healthy county. And it is shown again by our going to Standard & Poor's for our bond rating, and that We are sure that it'll come out favorable as it did the last time we did this. So appreciate the Finance Department and everyone throughout the county monitoring and wisely using resources of Gila County.
You bet. Thank you, Marion. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
and
you,
we
Mary.
will be back next month.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll go on to public hearings. 3A, information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 20-10-01 to name East Campbell Road and North Helens Highway in the Tonto Basin area. Tom? Good morning, Tom.
Morning, Chairman Klein, Supervisor Humphrey, and Supervisor Martin. There was a lot in Tonto Basin that recently underwent a minor land division behind the Mormon church, and they had requested the Helens Way designation. The Campbell Road was a secondary addition because we really didn't want to have navigation like Google say, go up the highway, turn off an unnamed road, and then get on Helens Way for, addressing and constituent access. So we received no dissensions on the naming. So with your approval, we will move forward with that name.
Thank you, Tom.
Any questions?
Tommy, you have any questions for Tom?
No, Mr. Chair.
Tim?
Google Earth has changed our lives, huh? 'Cause
Yes, sir.
you got to have roads to get you there, because if there's no name. The other day I was down in Phoenix and I was looking for a place and somebody gave me an address. I typed in the address and I got to a completely different place because I didn't put in the right city.
Yes.
So it's amazing how inaccurate or accurate those can be. So great for getting names to help people get around Gila County on some of these roads.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Tom, thank you so much for doing all that. I appreciate it. So with that, I'll open up public hearing. Do we have any public in Payson, Cheryl?
No, sir. Nope.
And we do not hear. So I'll close the public hearing part and ask for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we do adopt resolution number 20-10-01.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Okay, going on back to regular agenda items. 3A, information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 20-10-07, declaring Gila County as a Constitution Preservation County, and I'm the one leading the charge since Brad isn't here. So, this started a long time ago. Quite a few of the other counties around us, several of them have drafted resolutions in support of the Second Amendment. I've talked to a lot of people in the past few months, and I've talked to everybody from across the scale, from where you don't need to worry about it. It's not, it's not important, to the other one saying you can't do enough to address the Second Amendment in the Constitution. I've talked to county attorneys. I've talked to different groups. I've talked to quite a few folks. One of the groups I talked to a gentleman by the name of Drake Mitchell of the Arizona Second Amendment Sanctuary Movement, and had a long discussion with him. I've had support for us doing this, and I've had other people say no, not to do it. I will say that most of the support, well, let me back up a little bit. Most all of the response came out of the Payson area. And most of it was in support of doing something towards supporting our Second Amendment. I did have about 4 or 5 different responses that were against it, also came from the Payson area. So after a long time of thinking about it, talking to people about it, the one thing that kept coming back to me is the fact that the Second Amendment is our Constitution. That Constitution, as we all know, gives us the powers that we have today. The fact is that each of us as elected officials, we swear on that Bible when we take our seat to uphold the Constitution. And we did that. And I feel as a board, and unless they are to correct me differently, but I believe that us three take that very seriously as far as supporting the Constitution. But I also watch on the news and read it in the papers and everything every day about the people who are going against that Constitution. They're not abiding by it at all. And a lot of it has to do with the leaders that are letting them get away with it. And I believe that, to me, that's criminal. When you swear to uphold that Constitution and you're not doing it, you shouldn't be sitting in that chair. But that's what's happening today. So I went back and I thought more, and I kept thinking about it. You know, I got a lot of windshield time, so I got a lot of time for thinking. But to draft something in support of the Second Amendment, to me, personally, was leaving the rest of the Constitution hanging out there. It was almost like, yes, we totally support the Second Amendment, and I firmly believe that we three do support the Second Amendment. But what about the rest of the Constitution? What about your First Amendment? What about the rest of it? And so that bothered me. It's like, okay, we do this. Yes, I agree, but are we letting the rest of it just hang out there? So we came back. I kept thinking about it. I sat down with our county attorney, Brad Beauchamp, and we came up with the Constitutional Preservational County, to where we support the whole Constitution wholeheartedly. Now, I still get emails. I got one today. I'll acknowledge here too. By us being elected, by us taking that oath, I believe we affirmed that when we did it. But still, I think this is a good thing to put out there, that we still support the whole Constitution, Second Amendment, all of it. And that's where our powers are, and that's where our powers come from. So with that in mind, I want to give acknowledgement to a lady, and I've talked to her before. She is from Prescott, Myrna Lieberman, and I've had a lot of conversations with her. Kathy's talked to her. She wholeheartedly agrees that we can't do enough to support the Second Amendment, that it should be the Second Amendment. We should have some real strict, hard language in there supporting the Second Amendment, and on and on. And I respect her thoughts. I totally respect her thoughts. And I would like everybody to understand that for me personally, there's no way in hell I'm going to give up my guns or anything like that either. So, but we've had some contacts with her. She wrote us an email. One of the first sentences in there is, she addresses is, it is unfortunate that the Gila County Board of Supervisors failed to give proper notice to the voters about tomorrow's hearing. I want to correct that. Up front, nothing personal, but this is the fact. Our agendas go out. They're posted. We do, put it out there so our people do know when these hearings are. It's on our website and all that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. She has quite a bit of other stuff in here. One of her thoughts is that, a resolution just really isn't enough. And she kind of thinks that by us just doing the resolution on it, we're being weak on the Second Amendment. We're not protecting the Second Amendment. And that's not the case. We are protecting the Second Amendment right along with the rest of it. And so with that, I want to throw that out there. And Tommy, do you have any questions or comments or on this?
Mr. Chair, I do. When this first came up, it looked to me like it was another way for folks to take a topic and make it toxic. And the last thing I want to do is that. We have enough toxic conversation now, and we have plenty of ways that we're dividing this country with our arguments now. And when I back up and even look at, I'm with you, backing up and looking at the bigger picture of everything going on in this country, I'm not so sure that we're worthy of this Constitution these days. And by doing it this way, not only do I support it, I believe that we may ought to make a bigger deal out of the Constitution than we do. We treat it now as a soundbite or as a whip, and it's an unthinking one in a way. It's just like the folks that have gone to protect this and come home injured in every way you can be injured, and we look at them and say, thank you for your service. While we're at least saying something, we need to be doing more there as well. I can't help but think, this is me and my magic wand, that we at 18 and maybe every 10 years after that, instead of all of us today scrambling for all these voters and votes, because it's us and them and we need to win, that in fact, when you get a permission to vote, a voter card, that you first maybe took the same test people take to become citizens in this country, and see if you can answer those questions. And if you're not at least that educated in the subject, then you're not allowed to vote. That you in some small way have to earn the right to vote. I think this is a fine thing. I think that if it at all brings some thoughtfulness, not to the argument, but to the Constitution itself, that it was worth it. Now I'll come back down off my high horse, Mr. Chair, and let my cohort talk.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, I've had a lot of discussion about this, and yeah, mine is how can you pick any one amendment to be more important than the others? They're all for us to live by. And if you start picking what's best, then they're going to say, okay, well, then the others don't mean anything to you. It's kind of where I'm at. So, yeah, I do believe all the amendments are important. I do believe that the Second Amendment is very important. And I'm going to stop there.
Okay. Did we get any comments, Dave? Not on YouTube? So that's where it is. That's where we're at with this. And I think, back to my thoughts and my opinion is we're sitting in these chairs to uphold all that already, but this reaffirms it. This just puts us out there that we are serious about it. And I don't think there's anything wrong at all with doing that, especially in today's time. And so I think we ought to go on. So with that, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 20-10-07.
A second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. So going on to 4B, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 2 to an intergovernmental agreement contract number ADHS 18-177678 between Gila County and the Arizona Department of Health Services to replace the price sheet, which includes funding for an additional $77,500 as needed through June 30th, 2021, and to revise the scope of work. Michael O'Driscoll.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. So this funding comes out of COVID-19. Throughout the state of Arizona, the state health department and the governor, we really don't know if we're going to see an increase in the flu shots or a decrease in the flu shots, an increase of vaccinations or a decrease of vaccinations. So this additional funding, $77,000, is given to Gila County to go out into the community more. So do more face-to-face with populations out there, the vulnerable populations. So we're going to do mobile vaccination clinics, and we're going to push out the flu vaccine, because we certainly don't want to see a reduction in the flu vaccinations on top of COVID-19. So this is sort of additional funding so we could hire some of the staff to go out to the communities, to the senior centers, and to provide this service to the residents of Gila County. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Good job, Michael. Tommy, you have any questions on this?
I do not, Mr. Chair.
Tim?
Yeah, my hat's off to you 100% because you say more money. More money's more work, more for you on your plate. And with all the fires and the COVID and now to help with more flus, my hat's off to you because it's been a real tough year for our emergency service and health department. And so thank you very much, and thanks for saddling up for another $77,000 grant to do more for the people. So thank you very much.
Supervisor, thank you for those kind words.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And this will really be good. Get out there with more people in some of these back corners and whatnot and get more done. So this is a good deal. Really appreciate you and your staff for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
And before I do, Mr. Chair, I also want to thank Michael and Krause for every bit that they add to their burden. They lighten ours. It's been a crazy year, and I absolutely appreciate actually how easy it has been to get through this conversation, and it's because of the support staff that we have to help us do it. And with that, I move to approve amendment number 2 to an intergovernmental agreement, contract number ADHS 18-177678 with the Arizona Department of Health Services.
Mr. Chair, I will second that motion.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thanks to you and your staff, Michael.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. On to 4C. Information, discussion, action to award a contract to Kimley Horn in the amount of $50,000 in response to request for proposals number 071320 Master Broadband Plan Phase 2, and authorize the chairman's signature on the award contract. Homer? Good morning, Homer.
Good morning, Chairman Klein, board members. Thank you for the time. The request before you is to request your approval to award a contract for the Master Broadband Plan Phase 2 for Gila County to Kimley Horn. Earlier this year, we started working with a consultant, Entry Point. Actually, the contract with Entry Point was January of this year, and we started working with them. We have a 12-month contract with them. It's a $12,000 contract. It was based on a conceptual plan that we wanted them to develop, and we did this contracting with Entry Point before we had the grant with Arizona Commerce Authority. So it's conceptual. It doesn't provide the detail that we believe we need. We have done a lot of work with them. In January, we started with the vision: affordable, smart, future-proof, countywide, competitive, and the option to opt in and opt out. We actually haven't gotten away from that vision. That vision seems to be holding as we do the work. The work that we've done is, of course, many of you joined me. We visited 6 cities and towns and gained their cooperation in working with us, and we meet with them. We invite 22 folks from the different cities and towns and from Gila County to join us. We've had 4 meetings. We've shared a great amount of information with the team. A lot of it is conceptual, and that's the whole reason for reaching out to someone like Kimley Horn, who has done more detailed work, and I'll get to that in a minute. The meetings with the cities and towns and with our team, the strategic planning team, is all conducted via Zoom. You lose some of the effectiveness, but nonetheless, We have conducted invoice analysis. We reviewed 130 invoices from across the county from the incumbents that provide internet service like Suddenlink, CenturyLink, and Sparklight. And the costs range from anywhere from $59 for 1.5 megabits per second to $138 to 10 megabits per second. The 1.5 megabits per second is really non-functional, and someone to charge you $59 for that it's really outrageous. But that's the situation that we have, that we're trying to address. We've created a website, and just recently we started to use that website to gather survey information from our citizens. We have a survey. We're trying to gauge their interest in paying a certain amount of money for gigabit type of internet. We have talked to SRP, APS, and Sparklight, and we need to continue to talk with them. And we're doing that on a weekly basis. We're asking them to share their costs. None of them have really shared their costs with us. Not just the cost for allowing us to use their link to the Internet exchange point in Phoenix, but as well to use their poles and use the routing that we can obtain by using their poles. But we have mapped their routes. We're very confident of where they deliver, where they run fiber to, and how we can tap into that fiber for all three of them. We have talked to the Industrial Development Authority, the Gila County Industrial Development Authority, to see if we were to develop improvement districts in the county, what the funding availability is for that. They're very receptive and want to continue to talk to us. We have reviewed the improvement district concept. We have analyzed, we've looked at 35 improvement districts that are available to the counties, and we have developed a model for what could be the model for improvement district for broadband. And we're working with County Supervisors Association. We've got this model, and we need to move that forward. As you are listening, I know that you keep hearing that we need to keep moving forward, and that's the whole purpose of this board item. We need to go to the next step. We've been working on this since January. Our grant expires March of next year. This work needs to get done no later than March of next year. We have investigated the county spend on internet services, and we started to determine if there's a government facility network that is cost feasible, that could be cost feasible. That's some thoughts that were developed at the last couple of meetings. Is there a way that we can create a government facility network to help the potential improvement districts start up internet service for the different areas in the county? This would be a big step forward, allowing them to facilitate the creation of the improvement district. So we work with Entry Point, $12,000 contract. They're working on finishing a report. They're going to get a report to us, and we're going to present that to you in an upcoming work session, together with the work that we would be doing with Kimberly Horn if you approve the work that we've got Kimberly Horn to do. But we need to finish the broadband strategy. That's why we're here today, and we'd like to move forward with Kimberly Horn. In the board item that was written and presented to you, there's a number of things that we're requiring of Kimberly Horn. I'm just going to mention the last four. One of them is to analyze the cost to connect the county infrastructure to replace the leased connections, the leased fiber connections, internet connections that we have today. Another one is to review the cost, the model, and the design for the first mile. That's the connection to the Internet exchange point in Phoenix. So we're looking at it from two perspectives. One of them is a standalone for the improvement districts. One is where we supplement what the improvement districts are doing by having that county network, county facility network in place. The other one is to review the middle mile. That's the connection from like a central office in Payson going out to Pine Strawberry or Young. We need more design and cost details for that. And finally, for the last mile, and we've asked them to look at four particular areas on the last mile: Young, Pine Strawberry, the Rim County Ring, and the Tonto Basin area. And we'll learn from these. These would be, whatever we learn from these would be applicable to the other communities that we have. And that's what we're asking Kimberly Horn. The request for proposal, if things come up, we can change what we're asking them. There's some flexibility there, not ultimate flexibility, but as we learn more, we may change the request for proposal request that we have in front of us. So why Kimberly Horn and why not Entry Point? Each of these, we had a difficult time selecting Kimberly Horn because we had two excellent choices in front of us. And sometimes when you have that, it's just as difficult as not having a choice. But in this case, we could have done well with Kimberly Horn, but with Entry Point. But I think we'll do better with Kimberly Horn. What they bring to the table is the local contacts. They have done work for SRP. They've done work with APS. They work with ACA, Arizona Commerce Authority. They know the geography here. They know what it takes to dig. They're bringing in a consultant that has actually done a lot of this work with the contractors. And so we selected Kimberly Horn. Are we going to lose Entry Point? No, they're going to keep working with us at least till January. And we have the option of extending that contract with them if we think that that's feasible. But at this point, it's about awarding a contract to Kimberly Horn to help us finalize the strategic plan in the February-March timeframe. Hopefully by the end, we've asked them to complete this by the end of February, and they've made a hard commitment to do that. And that's what we'd like for you to approve today. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Homer. Tommy, you have any questions?
I don't have questions, Mr. Chair. I appreciate Homer and that crew getting us to this point in the conversation. And what he said to start with kind of winds it up for me anyway. This has been mostly conceptual. Hang on one second. I'm sorry, my dear. It has been mostly conceptual, and anything we can do to turn it into an easily understood and shared project, we need to be doing. I too think Kimberly Horn, having listened to this, I agree. I think Kimberly Horn has the local contacts we need right now to not only help do that, but mostly help all those other partners understand what we're getting ready to do, and come at it from a local perspective. I think that Entry Point may still have a role to play here. They are awfully good at keeping on the edge of the conversation. And I'm not sure we're through needing that kind of information or support either. But that's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, Homero, again, thank you very much, and I welcome this with open arms because, when you talk infrastructure in the future, without broadband, there's not going to be much future because who wants to live where they have no service and they order everything off the internet? So this is a great deal, and it says the broadband plan phase 2. How great it is to have been through phase 1, and they're able to get funding to reach for phase 2, and with the grant funding to get the base into our schools and our libraries, then that's going to open a whole bunch of opportunities for utility companies to work with getting it throughout the county, even if maybe perhaps we end up being the utility company. But thank you very much for keeping this very much alive, because if it's not pushed and kept alive, it gets covered up real fast. So I appreciate all you're doing, and I welcome going forward. Very much so.
Homer, thank you. And
Mr. Chair, I've got
go ahead, Tommy.
just one other thing to add here. All of our counties are struggling in fits and starts about how do they get broadband to all of their citizens. This is not a unique conversation in this state. All but 2 or 3 counties are absolutely starving for broadband. I have actually asked Craig if they wouldn't consider putting together a workshop where all the counties came together and shared what they're doing and where they are in it, so that if there's better ideas out there than we've had so far, or if they can piggyback on ours, I'd like to do that and as quickly as possible. So I want you to know I'm also pushing that direction with this. And we may be called upon to come play with them. And that so far that's it, Mr. Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Tommy. So Homer, thank you. And this website that you referred to, how can our people access that? Can they get it off our county website?
Not right now, but we're going to put it on the county website. Today they can go to connectgilacounty.com, all small letters, no spaces, and they can look at the video we have there and also the survey.
Okay. All right, because I know we'll be getting some questions on that, so hopefully we can have it up to where they can just hit it on our website and go to it. So thank you, Homer. And with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion. Homer, could you repeat that one more time for the people that may be on YouTube? And
Yes, the website is www.connectgilacounty.com.
thank you. Okay, Mr. Chair, I move to award contract number 071320 to Kimley Horn in the amount of $50,000.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Homer.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to D, information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 20-10-04, agreeing for Gila County to be the pass-through entity on behalf of Hell's Gate Fire District for a grant award to the district by the Gila River Indian Community in the amount of $49,507 to be used for the district's critical breathing air compressor project. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. Cheryl, did Chief Wisner show up there?
No, but we did have a bunch of fire trucks or police vehicles heading out that way. Maybe there was an emergency.
Okay, thank you. I asked because I had talked to Chief Wisner and he said that he thought he would be here. So if he had an emergency, we want him taking care of business. Back in March, we came to the board with their application. It's an electronically submitted application, and they were looking to get gaming grant funds from the Gila River Indian Community for a compressor that produces breathable air for their SCBAs, self-contained breathing apparatus. And so they did submit, and they were notified by Gila River Indian Community that they were going to make the award. Part of that is they want a resolution from the board accepting the award as the pass-through agency for Hell's Gate Fire. So we're coming to you today asking you to pass by resolution the award. And they are just tickled pink that they're getting some of the great gaming grants. So for your approval, and if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mary. Tommy, do you have any questions?
I don't, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good too, Mary, so thanks for all that. And with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt resolution number 20-10-04.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Thank
you,
you.
Mary. Okay, on to E. Information, discussion, action to approve the continued use of Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement number 02217-AAC on a customer purchase agreement in the amount of $48,013.54 between Gila County and Agile Access Control Incorporated for an additional year, November 1st, 2020 to October 31st, 2021. Steve.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The Agile program is what we use to monitor and run our fleet department. Lets us know mileage of vehicles, use of vehicles, cost of vehicles, when to replace vehicles. It's basically the brains behind our fleet department. This is to renew it for an additional year. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Steve. Tommy?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Tim?
Yeah, I have no questions.
I got one or two maybe. So 3 years ago or whenever it was we bought this thing, it was addressed, if I'm not mistaken, like it was going to save us a ton of money when we got into this program. Is it saving us money? Do you have any idea?
I believe it is because everything we're doing, when we'll come back to you later this year with purchases for sheriff's vehicles, fleet vehicles, and we have the documentation to back up what we need. It has stopped departments from saying, I need a new truck, I need a new car. We have the history of the vehicles they're wanting to trade in. So yeah, in the long run, I believe it's saving us a lot of money on purchases, on repairs, and on employee time trying to track before when we used 2 or 3 separate systems and then had to merge them all by hand.
If there's any way in the future we could maybe bring that in front of us to see what the savings are. The only reason I'm saying this is this was a very expensive system we bought and put in place. And I think, and apparently we're using the full abilities of it now, right? I mean,
no, we're not.
We're not?
Last year, the GPS tracking was not approved, so we're not using that function of the.
But other than that, we are, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. That's all I had. I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the use of Sourcewell Cooperative Purchase Agreement number 02217-AAC with Agile Access Control Incorporated in the amount of $48,013.54.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to F. Information, discussion, action to approve the use of Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement number 052417-CFC with Craftco Incorporated for the purchase of a new autoloader SS125DC crack seal machine in the amount of $87,160.33. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This was a budgeted purchase request, capital request. This will allow us to have a crack seal machine in both, say, Payson area, Globe area, where we're not having to schedule a crew to just be able to crack seal when they have the machine. We should be able to get a lot more done crack sealing, which will improve the maintenance of our roads and let us upgrade roads as we move forward. Happy to answer any questions on this.
Thanks, Steve. Tommy?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Tim?
Yeah, Steve, I think this is a great deal because a lot of our roads that are falling apart are paved roads, and our paved roads are so expensive to replace that with a chip seal, if we can keep some of the water out, and I mean with our crack seal, if we can keep some of the water out, it'll add life to that and help us repair roads with chip seal rather than to have to tear them out and replace them. So I think it's a great move. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the use of Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement number 052417-CFC with Craftco Inc. in the amount of $87,160.33.
Thank you, Tommy. Mr. Chair, I approve.
And having a motion and a second, all in favor? Do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. One more, Steve. Go on to G. Information, discussion, action to authorize advertisement of invitation for bids number 091120 Rim Trail Bridge Replacement Project, structure number 07881. Last one, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The Rim Trail Bridge is in the Rim Trail subdivision north of Payson, north of the control road. It's a little one-lane bridge over, well, there's a picture of it over the East Verde River. This is, and the bridge has been named functionally obsolete, structurally deficient. This is to replace the bridge. You approve advertising today. We'll open bids November 17th. Should award a contractor after the first of the year. Work won't start till later into the summer, giving the contractor time to acquire the materials. What we are going to do is offer it for value engineering, which will let the contractors propose to us ways to save money. Or if we say, it's a cast-in-place bridge, and they say, no, we can bring a pre-cast slab in and set in there at a reduced cost, we'll look at all of that, and hopefully that will help us bring the price down. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Steve. Tommy?
Mr. Chair, no questions, but this bridge has been needing help for a while. If you ever saw it, went across it, had to deal with it, you've known it's just a matter of time. And I'm glad we're there. Thank you, Steve.
Tim?
No questions.
So I'm glad we're doing this bridge, Steve, because it obviously needs to be replaced. But this road, is it Forest Road?
No, it's actually it's named Bridge Road. It's inside of Rim Trail subdivision. Comes off of a Forest Service road, but it's in the subdivision. We have the easement on the road.
Is this one of the last bridges we have out there that's like this?
No, we have bridges like this all over the county.
I was afraid you'd say that. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair.
No, go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, Tommy. I move to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bid number 091120.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, on to H. Information, discussion, action to approve a lease agreement with the Payson Unified School District for the facility located at 501 South McLean Road, Payson, Arizona, whereby the county will lease space for its Gila Employment and Special Training Program beginning July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Mary Springer.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. This is a building that the guest program currently occupies, and we had an old lease with them. The county attorney's office looked at it, revised the lease to be more appropriate. They had some language in there where it said that the county attorney represented the school district. So Chuck Shire took a look at that and said, no, we need to look through the whole agreement. So they did revise the agreement, and it's back before you today. The term is July 1 through June 30 of 2021. So we ask the board approve that lease today.
Thank you, Mary. Tommy, you have any questions?
None, Mr. Chair.
Tim?
No questions.
Me neither, Mary. Good job. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we do approve a lease agreement with Payson Unified School District at a cost of $500 per month beginning July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021.
Mr. Chair, I will second that motion.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to I. Information, discussion, action to certify the collection amounts for the Superior Court, Payson Regional Justice Court, and Globe Regional Justice Court as presented for fiscal year 2019 through 2020. Mary.
Good morning again. This is per ARS 412421 that we come to the board each year annually and tell you what the collections are. So for Superior Court, it was $603,243.38. Payson Regional, $625,993.17. and Globe Regional 648, 558, 11 for a total of 1,877,794.66. So we're coming to you today for the board to certify these collection amounts.
Thank you, Mary. Tommy, you have any questions on this?
No questions.
Tim?
I have none.
Thanks. Good job. That I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to certify the collection amount for the Superior Court, Payson Regional Justice Court, and Globe Regional Justice Court as presented for fiscal year 2019 to 2020.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. One more, Mary.
All right.
Information discussion to review draft policy number BOS-FIN-118, Public Safety Personnel Retirement System Contingency Reserve Funding. Last one, Mary.
All right, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors, in anticipation of the next board meeting where we're going to be bringing more information on the potentially funding the unfunded liability of PS, PRS, and Corp. When talking to our financial advisors and the underwriter, in fact, I think we have Mark Reeder and Omar Dageshtani on the phone with us. There was a recommendation to make sure for future years, if there is any kind of hiccup in the actuarial assumptions or the market, that we have reserve funds set aside that we could contribute to make sure that we remain whole. And really the goal here is to go ahead and fully fund the unfunded liability, but also to make sure that in future years we have it covered, that we're not coming back to the board saying, you know, we missed the mark, we need to borrow more money. We really don't want to do that. And good news for Gila County, we're in a position where we can set aside $1.5 million as the policy indicates in a special fund that will address those future needs. So this really is information for you to review over the next couple weeks to see if you have any suggestions to the policy. We do intend on coming back to the board on October 20th and ask that we adopt the policy. So if you have any questions or if James has any information he would like to share, I am open.
Okay. Tommy, do you have any questions or comments?
No questions, Mr. Chair, or comment.
Okay. Tim?
Yeah, I think it's great that we're in the financial ability to be able to set that aside. But I guess my question is that going to be in an interest-bearing account sitting there somewhere?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, that's it. All those funds reside with the treasurer, and I believe that's interest-bearing. So
Yeah, okay,
it's treated as general fund money.
So it's continuing to grow as it's setting aside for a purpose that it may or may not be used for.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So, go ahead, James, before I say anything.
Mary and staff were on a conversation in a conference call with Standard & Poor's and the team that's doing this. And it was very impressive to Standard & Poor's that we are able to do this from resources. City of Flagstaff did this very thing. They had to borrow an extra $15 million. Of course, their bond is $125 million. But they had to borrow an extra $15 million, put the reserve aside. We have the capability to do it with our current resources. And Standard & Poor's acknowledged that, and it was a strong positive for us. As we've said before, this reserve, bottom line is it will give confidence to investors, which again will drive down the interest rate that we have to pay on this. So by putting this money aside, we earn interest on it, it continues to grow. It drives down the interest rate that we would have to pay on these bonds. So it's a win-win all the way around as far as I'm concerned. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Major.
Yeah, It's yeah. For me, it's something we need to do, and I am really glad we are in a position to use our own money for the reserve. That helped us a lot. So I knew that. I've talked about this in some of my meetings here more recently on what we were looking at doing with, when I have my public meetings and stuff. And, it kind of amazes me. Well, it doesn't really amaze me, but there's a lot of people out there that don't understand this situation at all. And there's a lot of people out there in this county are saying, what the heck? Is this going to be a one and done? Well, that's what we hope for, but no guarantees. And so, but at least we are in a position to do this and protect those people that are out there that are retired and make sure their retirement continues, because I'm hearing the other side of that too. And so, and it's an obligation. It isn't whether we may or may not, but rather that we have to. Go ahead, James.
Bottom line, this saves the taxpayers of Gila County over the next 16 years over $13 million.
So it came up from 9 then.
9 is a present value.
Mm-hmm.
That's by discounting the savings over the coming 16 years.
Right.
So current value, as soon as this is done, saves us a current value in our assets of $9 million. Over the life of the term, the actual cash that we will save from not having to pay PSPRS will save us over $13 million in cold hard cash for the taxpayers of Gila County.
And yes, and I've pointed the 9 million out before. I didn't know it was a 13, or I spaced it, I guess. But
no, you're right. The 9 million is the present value
right
of the savings.
So, and that's if we don't have any hiccups, right? What if there's a bad investment, we burn up $1 million or $2 to balance us out again, stuff like that. It's still a savings, though, correct?
Mr. Chairman, it's still a savings. Those numbers are conservative numbers, based on what Mark Reeder and Company has seen in the market recently. Mm-hmm. This policy that we're presenting today to you is kind of like an insurance policy in a sense that if something were to happen, we have a fund that can make sure that we remain whole, and that's the intent of this policy.
Yeah, good deal. James?
Mr. Chairman, on looking forward, are there things that can happen? Can the stock market have a huge drop? All of that is still out there in the future. Whether we do this or not, it's still going to be out there. Those risks of the investments and the stock market and everything that they do for the PSPRS investments, we still have that risk. And whether we do this or not, there's that risk. That would just, if there is something, an event that happens that the PSPRS loses money through investments, that's still going to be on top of us. It's something that we're going to have to deal with in the future. It doesn't change the fact that we are going to save $13 billion of cash. If there's always risk on what the stock market and investments will do, so that's going to be there regardless, and we'll have to deal with that as we go forward.
Well, thank goodness we're in a position we can deal with it now the way we're doing. I do like it. It doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy feeling. I'll just be honest with that. But it is, at least we are in a position that we can jump in there. James?
Well,
go ahead, Tommy.
Well, Mr. Chair, I don't think we often enough say that this is not of our doing. This is something the state cooked up and handed to us to eat bite by bite. And I'm not sure our folks know that. This is one of those situations where we were funded basically an unfunded mandate to figure out and to pay that we had nothing to do with. Nothing really. It's the same kind of an argument we're going to be having over the solar conversation. But I don't want them to think that we put ourselves in this box. We didn't.
And that's
all,
right.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tommy, and that's been my message too. We kind of got dealt a pretty rough hand on this one, but fortunate enough, we are in a position we can kind of tackle it and get by, I hope. James, did you have something else?
Just that this is like our long-lost cousin ran up a credit card bill that was just outrageous, buying swimming pools and Escalades and all kinds of things. And then said, oh, well, here's the credit card bill, you pay for it. We don't decry what our PSPRS folks do. They put their lives on the line every single day.
Right.
They deserve to have benefits for doing this for the public and helping to ensure that we are safe, the people of Gila County. So it's not the employees, those that have earned the benefits. It's the credit card bill that someone else ran up that's been dumped in our lap.
Absolutely. And so we'll go on with that. So thank you, Mary. Thanks for the update. I look forward to seeing it in front of us again.
Okay.
And we'll go on from there. So moving on to consent agenda action items. Is there anything on that either one of you would like to address or pull off or whatever?
Not me, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I have nothing to pull, but I would like to bring attention to H&I that we are finding some more tax properties, homes, which tickles me when we can get a vacant property that's not on the tax roll back in the hands of someone that cares about those properties. And so that's all I have.
Yeah, that's a good deal. Okay, so with that, I'd entertain a motion to accept those.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve consent agenda action items 5A through 5C as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. On to number 6, call to the public. Cheryl, do we have any call to the public up there, Payson?
No, sir.
Do we have here? No? Okay. So with that, moving on to 7, executive session. 7A, information discussion action. We'll vote to go into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431-03, A3 and 4 to discuss settlement negotiations and multi-district opioid litigation. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we go into executive session.
A second, Mr. Chair.
Having
And would you call me?
Okay. Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. We'll be back. We're good, Dave. Okay, I'll call this meeting back to order and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we direct the county, Deputy Gila County Attorney to proceed as directed in the executive session.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. All right, moving on to number 8 for updates. Tommy, do you have any updates for us?
Mr. Chair, we haven't really talked about this, but something that's awful, again, near and dear to my heart, I mentioned it last time, sort of, is that we're now out of bladders for the bladder tank setup. I don't have a report yet this year. Generally, at the end of the year, I'll get a report from the Forest Service as to how many of the bladders were used and how much of the water was taken and so forth. When I get it, I'll share it with you all. And I don't know if there's any more to know about what happened out there when they flashed those two. But I'm working with Michelle on a story to go in the roundup about the history of the whole setup, so that to me it's like the voting conversation, so that people are reminded what they are and what they do for every one of us, and how we do need their help and keep an eye on the setup. Along with that, we've been working on the same kind of a conversation about needing a post-fire meeting, which I've not called yet for us, because fire season obviously is not yet over this year. But as soon as I get that date set, I'll let you guys know that too. But there's other things, Mr. Chair, but that's the main ones.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim? Oh,
Could I,
hang on,
Mr.
hang on
Chairman,
one-
could I add something to the bladders?
Yeah.
We, I guess there was 3 of them that have reached their useful life, and we had 3 of them that we had saved up, and those have been deployed. So right now we're out of bladders, and we're going to have to go and go out and get some more. But we will do that and bring that to the board.
And Mr. Chair, there's no more bladders to be had, Jim tells me, that we're going to have to go another route. We're going to have to, one of the things that he's thinking about are the actual fuel tanks that they use over there that might be in surplus. But we're going to have to come up with steel tanks or rubber tanks or fiberglass tanks, and see if there isn't any Homer and crowd are looking for grant money, maybe in some of this infrastructure money out of FEMA. But not that it will be expensive, but it will not be cheap either. But it doesn't look like anytime soon there's going to be industry in here clearing it out. And I think we've rolled by now $18 million into here from the Forest Service. But with all the help we need along that Pacific coast, we probably have, that may now be dried up. I don't know on those reports yet either, but we'll get them. But we may not get any more money from them to keep clearing. They have that thing called the Beast, which is a grinder, and I think they ground up something like 4 million pounds up here that went to the power plant this year and didn't get burned. And that is the kind of industry we need to talk about, but all the rest of it as well. Particularly the grinding in our northern Arizona, our northern Gila County area. There's so much brush that simply needs ground up. So we need to put our heads together once again, I think, and decide what we're going to do for next step. I've been hoping that we could finally look at each other and do this, and I'm kind of dragging my heels until we can. Anyhow, Mr. Chair, that's the rest of it.
Thank you, Tommy. James, did you have any more?
Just add one thing, Mr. Chairman, that are a couple things that the Treasurer's Office has processed all of the lease solar panel refunds to tax refunds to companies. Ended up about a little bit over 600,000. To Gila County was $160,000 of that. The rest was spread out to most of the taxing districts in Gila County. Got the list of what the amounts are that went to each, that revenues were taken from each. I don't have it with me, so. But that was the end results, and those checks went out last Monday, a week ago Monday.
Okay, so everybody's
taken care of.
okay. Tim.
Yeah, I want to say something about funding. If we had the money, that my district, or the guardrails that burn up in my district this year, we'd have lots of money to fight lots of fires and buy lots of tanks, because it's amazing the amount of guardrail that got burnt. But anyway, moving on and off of that. Dollar Dump Days back this month. I'm glad we're full staffed, and that's able to back to help the people. I have my community meeting starting again this month, and I'm anxious to get back in front of the public. They're good meetings, they're informative meetings, and just to let everybody know that we did get with Mr. O'Driscoll with the health department. Those meetings will be social distancing, and we will have masks for those people that don't have them. And if we can't have social distancing, then we may move it outside. But I'm glad to get back in front of the public and get some of these things going again. That's all I have.
Thank you, Tim. Several meetings last week, but the one I'll talk about this morning is I was on Kiko with Mike Stapleton, council member from Globe, talking about the cemetery cleanups and whatnot. But that was a really good session. It 15-20 minutes, I guess. So we're going to be looking at kicking that off again. Maybe wait till it's a little bit cooler, but we'll start in on that again. And this week we have a cattle growers meeting here tomorrow in this room. And that's going to be, they're looking to seat their officers, put their officers in place. So that'll be tomorrow at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Yeah, 10 o'clock. And then on Friday, I'm going to be meeting, Tommy, you need to listen in on this one. I'm going to be meeting with John Huey, Gary Morse, and a couple others in Fossil Creek. So John can look at that trail going into Fossil Creek. And John Huey is the chairman from the Yavapai Apaches. And so he's coming over to take a look at that and see if there's something, some way some direction we can go to work out the access into that hole for emergency rescues and whatnot. So that's where I'll be on Friday. And it's just been busy, real busy. So everything keeps plugging away. Does anybody else have anything else? Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, one last thing. I meant to thank you for working up what I think of as an elegant solution to the Constitution conversation. I know you put a lot of time and effort into it, and I really do think it's the right thing to do and the right way to go. And I really appreciate the time you put into it. Thanks.
Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate it. James?
A couple more things. County managers this Friday, so we'll be able to get an update, share that with you of a lot of things that are going on with the state. And then in 2 weeks, I've been asked to, the Chamber of Commerce in Payson has started their luncheon meetings, but they're splitting them up. So there's a morning meeting and then a noon meeting. So I've been asked to give a State of the County report in 2 weeks from today. So it'll be on that board meeting day that I'll be in Payson. But if there's anything that you as a board would like me to include or stress in a State of the County report, I would appreciate your input.
You
For
bet,
that.
James, and I, I think this is for all of us to hear too. But you know, one of the biggest things with this year, with it being election year and all that, you know, if they're there to begin with, I just kept getting hit with, you know, folks don't realize what we're doing, what we're getting behind us, what we're getting done. So, yeah, hopefully we can get all that put together so people can kind of stay in tune to what the county, where the county's at on projects coming up. All of that. The more information we can give out to the public, the better off we are. So, if you would,
I'll have about a half an hour of time, so
okay.
it is a fair amount.
So you don't want us to go help you with that, then, huh? If you only have half an hour, it's all right, James.
With the election coming up, I'm not sure how that would go.
No, it's good. Tim.
Yeah, just you talk about things we have going on. I didn't mention the composting facility that's going on, and so we got that started, and that seems to be going well. And that's a pilot program with ADOT that I hope goes very well to help us with composting in the future, to not be burying so much paper, cardboard, and green waste. So yeah, I'm really happy that we got that kicked off.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good deal. That hopefully it'll turn
Oh,
out good.
Mr. Chair, I need to thank Tim on that one also. We, several years ago, tried to do this and simply couldn't. Sharon has the vision. We had the vision. ADOT did not. And nobody else would even entertain the idea. And Tim, I really do appreciate you getting behind that and simply making it happen. Thank you.
Same here, Tim. That's a good project. Now, are we still using the equipment from Navajo?
Yes, it's borrowed equipment, and so the thing of it is then there'll be a work session and stuff on how this all goes. So yes, it is on borrowed equipment, just for the pilot program, and so depending on how the pilot program goes, depending on what we can work with. But yeah, to go forward with that, we would probably end up needing to purchase some equipment and create more of an indoor environment, whether it would be with a metal building or a canvas building or something of that nature, to keep the temperatures and the mixing and stuff more indoors. And so, but anyway, yeah, if the pilot program works out well, yes, it's going to cost to maybe go forward. But if we can get a composting facility where we can offer compost to the constituents and to have, and I really believe that if we can get a composting facility working properly to where the state's interested. I've talked to the mines and they were kind of back offish, but they do a lot of restoration. And I think if we ever get a product that's a marketable product, I do believe that the mines would be interested for some of their reclamation too, just my feelings. And so, yeah, and if it went forward, is it going to be an expense? Are we going to need to purchase equipment and things? Yes, but is it a worthwhile project to save life in our dump? What does that cost if we got to keep buying land to keep burying paper and cardboard? So it's a positive to me to bring ADOT, Gila County, and the town of Miami together to all benefit. And so anytime you get a team playing for the same goal, it's just a great thing for the community.
Absolutely. So how long are you thinking the pilot project's going to go on? I mean, is there a target or some number or day or what you're looking for?
Homero, if he's still up in Payson, he could probably comment more on that than I could, or we can get Kenny Keith. Because I'm not really sure on how long it would take them to do the 50 tons, and I think it's probably already mixed. It's just going through a heat period. But yeah, when that will cut off, I'm not sure.
Well, I look forward to a work session. James?
Mr. Chairman, I was speaking to Mr. Keith about what's going on with that, and supposedly it takes, they lay it out in a row, takes a heating process. They have to get it, the core temperature, to 160 degrees. to kill any live bacteria and stuff that's in it. So they actually had reached that first several days of when they're at 160 degrees. They turn it and recycle it and then put it back down. Has to do that 3 times. So I don't know what the complete process is, but it could be within a month that we will have a finished product for that, this first test time.
Yeah, and then I would think it would depend on whether the state would want more compost.
Yeah. Well, it's a good deal. All right. Well, if we're all good, I'm going to adjourn this meeting, and thanks you all for being here this morning. Thanks.